Gravity. Here we go. Man, it's been a heavy day. But anyway, we can't just give up. We need to make a video. So now we're going to see if how we can create a message box using the Rust framework Iced. So let's get into it. So let's pop it up on crates.io and see what it looks like. So it's up to version 0.13.1 right now, and it's been updated 8 months ago, and it actually has a link to a home page. So let's go and pop over there and see what. And this is actually quite comprehensive and complete. It's even got a get started page, and it's got quite a lot of showcases. So this is the documentation part, you know, first steps and stuff. So that's actually quite good. And if we go to the repository, then it's a normal GitHub repository. This is most common. Well, if one does a brief description of this, it's a cross-platform GUI library focused on simplicity and type safety. Provides a simple native-looking interface, can target desktop and web. And yeah, its main features are multi-OS platform, yes. Native look and feel, as we will see in the example. I don't agree that it's out-of-the-box native, at least not for Windows. And then you should be able to create web applications, but I actually haven't actually done any investigation on that. So if we're talking about some of the GitHub stats, then so the latest available version on GitHub is also 0.13.1. It's got 26.6 kilo stars, and that's actually over a slight increase over the last time I checked the page. So it seems to be, and then it's the development activity is classified as active development, so it's not dead. Now if we take a look at this page here, and if we ask the question, like, generically, is there any documentation? Like we saw, it did have a home page, and however, here there seems to be a little bit lacking when it comes to that. So I think that it's mainly when they talk about documentation, then it's on that the home page we looked at. And then if we look at some examples they also had on the home page, but there's actually quite a few examples. So that's and quite a lot of them actually are, well, actually quite a lot of them are very well documented with examples and stuff. So that's actually quite positive. And brief mention on the setup procedure. So do you need to add anything other than in the cargo.toml file? Then the good thing is that no, you don't. So let's have a look at the program example, see what that looks like. So if we have a little look at the demo program, let's have a look at the cargo file first. And here we see that the basic Iced is this one here. And then I've added an additional Iced package, which actually contains the widget that I'm using. So I actually created the message box example using what they define as a card. So that was the solution I used. And then this is just a font package that is also related to Iced, so not that difficult to set up. I did, however, notice one thing when I was prototyping, is that version-wise, they've they haven't changed the major number, they've only changed the minor number. So in the between 0.12 and 0.13 they've gone ahead and wrecked the top level API. So if you download code that is meant for ICE 0.12, then especially if it's an application level solution and not just a module, then it might actually end up not compiling, because they've actually redone the sandbox and application layer and rewritten how that works. So this example I've made using their latest ICE Crate 0.13.1, so it's compatible with that approach. And then there's no extra build logic related to it. So let's have a look at the code and have a little bit of an overview. So here we use the use statement, import some stuff, and then here we see that we bring in the card. So here we see this is the main, and again I've added very richly comments. So the idea is that I will upload this to my GitHub site, and then I'll put a link in the comments so you can actually go get this code and download it and compile it and investigate even further if you feel that you're interested enough. So here I'm just going to give a general overview. So you have the main, and then it creates an iced application, and so message box using a card. So I've actually mentioned here that it uses the card, and then it has two functions. It has one that updates and one reviews it, and then this is just about that it should use the default font, and then run is that it will start the application. And the actual card application is derived from, you have an enumerator which is just controlling whether the card's open or closed, and then you have a card application which has a status if the card is open, currently open or closed. And here we have update. So this actually does this closing and opening the card, and then you have the view function that actually builds the user interface. If the card is open, then it will create a card object. So it's this message box in a new column, and then this is a message box using a card, and then it has a footer style. And then it sets up an action on close, so when you actually press it then, or when you close it, then it will make a close action. And then the opposite to that, if it isn't, if the card, if it card closed, then it should just replace it with this push button. And then the same thing, it makes the scrollable element, and it sets up create a container. Short circuit, don't remember what it was. No, it puts the card into this the total container. So it's actually really it isn't much more than that. And it'll follow basically the same logic. It doesn't matter what widgets you use. Well, I mean, you basically use this new, and then you give a bunch of parameters, and then you say into, which converts it to the basic type, and then it'll return it as a the iced object or item structure type element. So quite flexible. So let's see what it looks like when we run it. So anyway, here we have the window, and then it has a click button, and then you say open card, and then it brings this. Actually, at least I think, aesthetically relatively pleasing as a message box, even if it's not considered Windows native in that context, but it's not that bad. And then you can close it. So Well, anyway, I hope you found this useful. So the idea was just like to show you like show that the Iced framework exists for Rust, where you can find it. Does it have any documentation? Does it have any examples? And then make just a very simple application, so you can actually have that as a starting point if you want to expand, experiment, and create more complicated applications, or you're just going through different message, different graphical packages for Rust, and trying to come up with a plan of which one would you like to use. But this actually, I think one of the main benefits of this is that I haven't gone into the details of each of these showcase examples, but or showcase application, but this seems to be a very wide spread of different types of applications that have been created with this. So, yeah. Hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one.